Hi, Adrian here, and this video is about the safety aspect of hypnosis. Now, I've been practicing hypnosis for a while, and if you're not 100% certain specifically what hypnosis is, there's another video about that. The link is down below, so you can go and check that out. There is also a link to Holistic Soul Hypnosis on my website, so you can go check that out as well. Read up about it a little bit more. But this video specifically is about the safety aspect of hypnosis. I find that a lot of my clients have sort of the same questions or concerns when it does come to hypnosis. So this is one of a series of videos that just addresses some of those questions that are just more commonly asked. And I thought it might really help you in preparing and maybe setting your mind at ease, and which might, of course, be the deciding factor whether therapeutic hypnosis is for you or not. Okay. So, first of all, I can tell you beyond the shadow of a doubt that hypnosis is definitely a safe modality to practice. The hypnosis that you get in a therapeutic setup, which is what I do, where we specialize in helping you really reach your greatest potential of life, to unlock your greatest potential of life, because we go directly to the subconscious mind, and whatever thought patterns and whatever beliefs you have about life and about yourself that are not serving you positively, those are eradicated and replaced by thought patterns that really do. Okay, so um, when you go in a hypnotic state, first of all, there is, of course, I think the idea that sticks in a lot of people's minds about, the stage hypnotist that makes you do all kind of funny stuff, and you eat an onion and it tastes like an apple, and you go around hopping around, quacking like a duck or something like that. But what we do with hypnosis in a therapeutic sense is vastly different from that. It is in a environment that supports your greatest comfort. Also, when you are in a state of hypnosis, you are not asleep. You are not um, out there like a light and anything can be done, to you, and you don't have any control. In fact, you are probably way more aware of what's happening around you than most people, that are not familiar with hypnosis may realize. Like, you will be in the room, and if for any reason whatsoever, somebody, for example, happens to walk into the room, you will be aware of the person walking into the room. It just won't bother you. However, because your senses are very much heightened during the hypnotic state, because you're using such a greater part of your mind than you would normally do in your normal wakeful state. If we are, for example, on the ground floor and there might be a gas leak or a pipe burst or anything like that happening 3, 4 stories up, myself as the hypnotist might not be aware of this, but in your heightened state of observation, you would actually be aware of that. And contrary to popular belief, you actually can't be made to do anything that goes against your morals, that goes against your values, that goes against your beliefs, that goes really against who you are. And if anything funny really happens, um, anything that that you're not really in flow with, you will actually just become fully awake without the person who's conducting the hypnosis session needing to say anything or do anything. You will just become fully conscious and fully present, which I think sets a lot of people's minds at ease when you do know that it doesn't matter how deep a level of trance you go to, you are always in control, because hypnosis itself is really a deep state of relaxation. And because you go into this deep state of relaxation, the conscious mind is, asked to step back. We go directly to the subconscious mind. So it's really kind of crossing that gateway between the conscious and the subconscious, because in the subconscious is where really all the knowledge lies, everything that can help you and that assist you. Which I suppose also brings me to the next point, is that all hypnosis is in fact self-hypnosis. That it doesn't really matter how it may seem or how it may feel. Myself as the hypnotist is giving you the suggestions, asking you to close your eyes, asking you to relax deeper now, all those sort of suggestions are being made by me, but you are the one who's choosing to follow those suggestions. You are the one who's choosing to pay attention to your breathing. You are the one who is choosing to relax a little more. You are the one who chooses to close your eyes. So even though I am the one giving you the voice prompts or the guidance, you are the one who is in fact choosing to follow it. Okay. Now, the thing about hypnosis and what really makes it so effective is that, as we said earlier on, it goes directly to your subconscious mind. Now, your subconscious mind forms more than 90% of your entire mind, whereas the conscious part is a much smaller part. So, everything that ever happened to you, every experience that you ever had, everything in life that you ever witnessed, that you ever smelled, that you ever went through, the subconscious mind stores all that information. It's all there, it's all available in a very chronological order. Now, most of the patterns that we have in our life has really been set into our mind before the age of 7 years old. So kind of like from the time of conception, because you even things that happen around you whilst you are inside your mother's womb, your patterns already start to form there because of course you are a living being with consciousness, with emotions. So from the time of conception up until the age of 7 years, around 6 7 years old, children are really like sponges. They just take in the information around them. Whatever you give towards them is what they're going to take. And these thought patterns can be really heavy things that happen in your life, or it can also be something a lot smaller. Like the example that I often use is, say, for example, you're a child of 1.5 or 2 years old, and an adult comes around you, maybe got your friends around you, you got your cousins or your siblings around you, and they start handing out lollipops to everybody. Now, to the adult obviously knows that, as a child of 1.5 or 2 years old, that a lollipop's not really the best thing to give you. It's not really the safest thing for you. But yourself as a child obviously doesn't know that as a toddler. So you're kind of excited, you're looking forward to everybody's getting stuff around you, and you looking forward to getting your lollipop. And then, in fact, you don't get it. And something as simple as that can really start a thought pattern of everybody else around me gets really good stuff. Life gives things to everybody else. The powers that be favors others around me, but it doesn't favor me. So it doesn't always have to be this really deep traumatic events that happen that can really set off a pattern. It can actually be something quite simple. But then the wonderful thing about the subconscious mind is it will let you know where the pattern that is not serving you positively, where it originated. And when I say pattern, it can really be anything. Troubles with authority, relationships not working out, jobs not working out, uh, always having trouble with your neighbors, um, financial problems, weight problems, health problems. There are so many things, but whatever it is, it usually comes back to some kind of pattern that was set at some point or the other. And the experience that you're having in your life now, which can even be stuff like smoking, drinking, overeating, doing drugs, drinking too much, not being able to do public speaking or getting very nervous about it, phobias like flying, spiders, the list is really, really endless. At some point or the other, there was something that happened that set that pattern in motion, because when you are born, you're not really born with those patterns. So somewhere along the line, that pattern had to set in. So hypnosis is really about asking the subconscious mind, where did this pattern set in and how do we let it go? Okay. Now, in so saying, of course, with letting go, you can also then enhance a lot of positives, unlock your natural abilities. All of us have dormant natural abilities and talents and potential that we might often not even be aware of. And a hypnosis session is so incredible for unlocking those. I always say that for me, when you let go of the things that don't serve you positively, it's like clearing out all the furniture inside your house. Maybe all the furniture you don't want anymore. It's old and it's ugly and you don't like it. It doesn't serve you positively as it once might have, which is the same thing with certain thought patterns. It might have actually served you positively at a stage, but it doesn't serve you positively now any longer. Um, so I always say it's like getting rid of the furniture. And now that your home, your apartment, your, whatever your space might be, just really referring to the space in your mind, really, whatever that space might be, we've done a lot of clearing. So how about putting some positives in there now? How about unlocking some potentials? What are the things that you are doing well? What are the patterns that are actually serving you well? And letting those come forward. And that is why, really, when you have a hypnosis session, that it's very typical for your life to unlock in very positive ways, very easily, very effortlessly, very quickly, because your foundational pattern, your belief about life, your belief about yourself, your belief about your worth, about your values, all those things are really changed. And uh, it's really amazing work that you do for yourself. It is probably one of the best things that you can do for yourself. And the amazing thing is that you only really need to have one session. A lot of times people ask me, how many sessions do I need to have? And I would say to them, you only really need one session, because so much work takes place in one session that is actually, it's quite incredible. And yes, sometimes people do have more than one session, but that would usually be something in the lines of, let's say that you come to me and you have got a problem with, let's say, for example, that there's trouble with money flowing, things at work are not going so well, you don't have a lot of self-confidence, maybe you've got some body weight issues. And so what we work on, instead of, say, making you hate the fat, making you hate this, making you hate that, which has sometimes, in the past been an approach, for example, to smoking. Somebody says they don't want to smoke anymore, so you kind of, create a trigger where every time when you touch a cigarette, you start to feel very queasy. But I mean, who wants to feel nauseous all the time? So by actually going to the pattern that set it in motion in the first place, the letting go can be a process with minimal discomfort, really. Now, in so saying, there will be work to be done. I'm not saying there won't be work to be done, but past hypnosis session. But it can be that you understand that you're doing the work now to move forward, and your beliefs about yourself are different, your beliefs about your worth and your value is different, what you deserve, who you are not. So the process for you is so much kinder, really, on yourself especially. um, so yeah, hypnosis can just really benefit your life in such an incredible way. So with the idea that you then come to me, so what we then maybe work on is see, where did this pattern set in that led to all these things, these financial problems and the troubles at work, and maybe the body weight problems, and all the sort of things that you do, maybe taking too much medication because you don't want to think about this, and you don't want to think about that, and you don't really want to face your life. So we look at those patterns and we started maybe working on loving yourself, accepting yourself. So the weight, for example, then in a weight analogy, it doesn't just drop away, but because you come from a point of understanding that, okay, it took me 10, 15, 20 years to put on this weight, so it doesn't make natural sense for me to want to lose it in 8 weeks. So you come from an approach where you now start loving yourself, appreciating yourself, approving yourself, and your focus is to become healthy. We go and see those mind patterns, which might be traumatic child events, which sometimes you do and sometimes you actually don't remember, because your mind can suppress things. Your mind will only really bring something up if it believes that you are okay to deal with it. And it can be that, also we do something called inner child healing. And when I say we, I'm talking about myself, because you and I go into trance together. So we work together, with your higher self, with my higher self, And so then you go away, and then maybe 6 months, 8 months, a year later, you come back. And so now you love yourself, now you approve of yourself, now you're more confident, now you're a very different person, and now you maybe are ready to do something new with your life. Maybe you want to start a new business or something like that. So now you are a very different sort of person. And now we look at how can we now help you to maybe do your business, and then we focus on something called future life progression, or it's also called future life pacing, with NLP practitioners. And I'm an NLP practitioner, which really took my hypnosis sessions to the absolute next level. It's like kapoo, like a mind blow. Amazing, really amazing. So some hypnotherapists, NLP practitioners, and other people who do work in the field of helping you achieve your greatest potential in life use words like future life progression and future pacing. But it's just really to help you shape your dream future, which then, usually unfold in ways even better than you can imagine, but also in a way that fits perfectly into your model of the world. And this is all with you really always being in control. And I think one of the best things that people really find most beneficial with hypnosis is knowing that you're in control. Um, in the beginning of the session, you go to what is called a safe space. So before we even go into the subconscious mind, you go into what is called a safe space. And the reason why we do that is that every time you recall a memory, you recall the memory different. Okay? So, say for example that you went to a party, and I ask you a couple of weeks later, hey, how was that party? And you are in a very good mood when you tell me about it. You're like, Adrian, it wasn't really as busy as I thought it would be. There were not that many people, but it was lovely. And it was nighttime, and there was all these fairy lights outside, and there was nice food. The drinks were chilled. Lovely thing that there weren't so many people is that we could actually have conversations, we could hear each other, you could get to the bathroom quickly, there wasn't a queue, so it was actually really cool. I didn't have to struggle for parking. It was all really, really nice. Now, I may be asking you about the same party um, at the same period in time, a couple of weeks later, but instead of being in a very good positive mood, you may be a bit under the weather during this day. You're a bit irritated. You're not really in your best space. And then you say to me, oh, it was such a schlep. It was so boring. There were not a lot of people. Yeah, it was nice. They set up all these fairy lights, and the food was cool and the drinks were nice. But uh, I didn't even get to dance. It was so boring. And me, I like to have these conversations when I stand in queue and I go to the loo, and it's always so fascinating. But there was none of that because there weren't a lot of people. You are explaining exactly the same event, but you are explaining it very differently because your mindset is very differently. So with hypnosis, you go to a safe space, and the safe space is really a place where you feel completely in control. You Nothing can touch you in the space. Your soul, really, your mind is completely at ease, is completely at rest. And so we recall the memories from that space. So we recall the memories from a positive space. We don't falsely recall it, but we don't recall it in a negative sense. Because remember, and this is why it's so important, a lot of people don't sometimes understand. I know that you can do sessions online. I've done myself some sessions online. And whilst they are highly, highly successful, it really is so much more so when you do travel specifically to me, because conscientiously in your mind you are physically traveling from your space of where you are to me, and in your mind already that has that readiness that you are ready to, in fact, um, to do the inner work, to do the healing. And the question that I always ask to people when they work with me, and it doesn't really matter which of my modalities it is that we're going to use, because apart from doing hypnosis, I also do Reiki, I also do crystal healing, I do NLP life coaching, I do numerology, which is actually incredible because it gives you a very clear, um, scientific, almost really kind of explanation of who you are, how you fit into the world, how the rest of the world perceives you, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and also all my readings comes with or my charts rather, comes with a 12-month almanac for which months are better for you, more beneficial, and which days of the month would you actually really, it's kind of like when if you want to really call it that the universal forces are more in your favor, so you don't really need to try so hard. And other days, don't even bother, stay in bed, take a rest, you need a little break right now. We all have those cycles. And then of course I also do tarot and oracle card readings, which I absolutely, absolutely, absolutely love. I do that quite regular on my YouTube channel. I also go live on Facebook as often as I can because I love to spread the love. But it doesn't really matter which of the modalities that I practice that you choose to embrace. And obviously, I'm very fascinated by astrology too. But it is the question that I always ask is, are you interested in improving your life, and you don't need to know how to do it, but at least you need to have the willingness to change your life, to improve your life, and that is all that's really needed for that is really, I would say, 85% of the work, of the willingness really that you need to bring to the table in order for your hypnosis session to be successful. It's really important. Another one that is really quite important is making payment in advance. Now, a lot of people don't always get why it's so important, but the importance of making payment in advance, as well as traveling from your location to my location, is because you are physically doing something towards your own healing. You are actually physically investing in improving your own experience of life. And because you do that, there is your subconscious mind actually already starts to open itself to availing solutions that will improve your experience of life. So that is really why that is really so important. Um, Something else, and this is really, really, this is a question that I get quite a lot, um, is do I need to relive all my pain? Do I need to go through all those memories? Do I need to go through all the childhood trauma? Do I need to go through the experience of being, victimized again, feeling like a victim, feeling helpless, feeling so terrified? Um, do I need to? And the answer is absolutely not. Not at all. Okay? Remember when before we recall any memories, you go into the safe space, the place where in your mind you feel completely at ease, 100% safe. And before we proceed into any exploration of the mind, this place is very safely set there. So, first of all, if you have any experience during the holistic soul hypnosis session that feels uncomfortable to you, instead of coming out of the trance, your mind will go back to the safe space. And it's often in knowing that the safe space exists that the mind is willing to unfold and reveal to you more because it knows that it's safe to do so. Holistic soul hypnosis has got quite a lot to do with inner child healing, which is really so important. And because it helps to release a lot of limiting thoughts, limiting beliefs, childhood fears, childhood traumas, all things that might have happened to you that you may or may not recall, that definitely has an impact on your life. Because here's the thing, just because you don't recall a memory, because sometimes we don't, our mind can actually suppress it if it feels that we can't deal with it. So that in itself takes a lot of energy. But just because we don't physically remember something consciously doesn't really mean that it doesn't have an impact on our lives. In fact, those are usually the things that have a bigger impact on your life. And that is, of course, what makes hypnosis so incredible, that now the big things that can have an impact on your life are very big positive things, which is actually quite amazing. So in a session, you can either relive the experience as in physically be inside the experience, or also you can kind of just observe it and kind of report back, because I ask you questions and you give me the answer. So we do explore the avenues of your mind together. And so if something was really, say you have maybe a limiting belief that you're not good in life, and you may not know that as a 2 or 3 year old child that you may have been molested, for example. Your mind doesn't recall that, but it does affect your life. Then you can in fact kind of look from the outside in, or maybe it'll be like playing on a television screen, or like maybe you look into a mirror. There are many different ways that the mind will show to you what it is that is affecting you negatively, but the experience itself doesn't have to be negative because you are observing instead of having to physically be part of the experience. So that is the wonderful thing about holistic soul hypnosis, or regression hypnosis, or hypnosis in a therapeutic sense. It's really many names for the same thing. Um, that you don't have to relive the pain in order to let it go, in order for the healing to take place, and in order for you to live a life where you no longer have those beliefs about yourself, those thoughts at the foundation level of yourself, so they don't have to affect you negatively any longer. I think something that also sets people's minds at ease quite a lot is that all holistic soul hypnosis sessions are recorded. And I think it kind of, my experience is that because the sessions are recorded, that my clients are able to relax even more beautifully, because they do know that they can always kind of go back again afterwards and revisit, to get the experience, because you won't remember everything. And you don't actually have to, because the work is done on a subconscious level. And that is what makes hypnosis so powerfully effective. That you don't have to try so hard. It's not like affirmations, for example, which do work beautifully, but you don't have to consciously go and repeat them over and over. Um, because the job of the subconscious mind is really to maintain your experience of life. And it doesn't have a preference whether it's a good life or a bad life. It just goes with what are your foundational patterns, and it forms one story about that, which then is pushed through to the consciousness and forms your story of life. And I spoke about this a bit more in the other video that I made about what is holistic soul hypnosis, and the link is available, so you can go and read up on that. And there is also a link in my website that you can go and have a look at that, and you also get to experience what hypnosis actually feels like, because it is a natural state. It's that we go into all the time. In any case, all those things um, are being discussed here, really outlined for you more in detail. But for now, I think it's just wonderful for people to know that the session is recorded, and that you can just kind of somehow hear where it is that you were. And I always say the value of these recordings are when you go 3 months, 6 months, 8 months into the future, and you look back and you listen to those, you actually get to see how far you have come. And that, for me, I think is the most purposeful part to, to the session itself. What is also really amazing is, I feel that a lot of people think that when you have one of these sessions, that because you go to such deep levels, that when you come out of it, you might be very exhausted, that you might feel very run down. But in fact, the opposite is true. You feel absolutely amazing. You feel incredible. You feel fantastic. Because remember, you've let go of so much baggage that really wasn't serving you positively, that you feel absolutely amazing. Okay. And one of my clients actually asked me, what if I'm in a state of trance and I hear, smell, taste, touch anything that is so overwhelming that I just come straight out of trance? Of course, that won't happen because you go to the safe space. But then when the trance, is done, when the hypnosis session is done, and you come out of trance, um, you feel it. It feels like you've had the most wonderful holiday in your life. And I think in a world that is so busy and that we're always running, to really give your mind such a break, it's priceless. I always say to people, same with Reiki, same with crystal healing. It's like sending your soul on a vacation. And because you come from this positive mindset, you can just go forward into life feeling so much more ready to take on everything. And I, I have to be honest, I honestly love, as in absolutely love doing hypnosis as well because, in fact, I go into trance with you. We go into trance together because we make a very beautiful soul connection. And this is why I love doing in-person sessions because I do also, before we go into the session, we we have a pre-consultation. I answer all your questions that you may have, and the experience is just incredible. But then, in the same sense, we do a bit of exercises, to get to for you to see how easy it is actually to do hypnosis itself. Um, but of course, those links are available in the description for you to have that experience for yourself as well. Um, but I have to go into trance with you because it's by connecting to you in such a beautiful, honest, energy healing sort of way. Energy healing, of course, being those things within your thought patterns, your belief patterns, your mind patterns that don't serve you positively, replaced by things that are. By going into trance with you, I know when you are there because I can feel it with you, which I think is such a beautiful way for humans to just connect on a profound level. Okay. I really hope that this video has answered a lot of the questions that you might have about holistic soul hypnosis, about some of the concerns that you might have, um, because I think it really helps when you understand that it is a very safe process for you to go through, and your mind knows the level of relaxation that you need to go to in order for the process to unfold most optimally for you. So, for those of you that might have, for example, been looking at videos of the incredible Dolores Cannon, who did QHHT, quantum healing hypnosis technique, that she would always speak that you go to the deepest level of trance, which is the somnambulistic level. So sometimes people do go to that level. Sometimes trance is experienced as a very light level of relaxation. It can be almost like daydreaming. But the more you trust the process and the more you go with it, your mind will go where it is that you need to go. Most people are somewhere in between. I think the important thing to realize is that there's not a right way and there's not a wrong way to do it. And of course, the fact that I use crystals in my sessions, it just makes it profoundly more beautiful because the human body is mostly made out of crystals, and the human body is mostly made out of water. I'm sorry. And crystals have an energy output which doesn't change, so we can absorb that crystal energy, which just really can sometimes relax you even more and make the session even more beautiful. But I think the best way for you to experience holistic soul hypnosis, to experience how you can profoundly unlock your greatest potential of life, is to really have a session for yourself. So I invite you to um, visit my website, ahngreatlife.co.za, or you can send me an email, which is bookings with an S at the end, bookings at ahngreatlife.co.za, and we can set up a session for you. I send you a detailed email beforehand that explains to you everything really around the process. Some people like to read, some people don't like to read. So In the email itself, there are some links to some of my YouTube videos that you can go and look for yourself now, or the links can be there, but you can just experience the hypnosis experience for yourself. But this is just to let you know it's on a very light level of trance, and obviously when you come for a session, it's much more profoundly. But I can say from my own personal experience in my own life, and from the many beautiful experiences that I've seen some of my clients have, that I've seen some of my fellow practitioners' clients have, holistic soul hypnosis is probably one of the most beautiful gifts that you can give to yourself. I thank you so much for your time. I thank you so much for listening. And I wish you the most beautiful day, evening, at whichever point in time you're looking at this video, at whatever part of the world that you're looking at this video. I wish you all the best. And from my heart to your heart, I wish you love and light. Thanks so much. Goodbye.